Workflow creation in Mission Control. So taking a look at workflow creation, we're going to go into one of our incidents here. We're going to go into our bomb threat, and we're going to go over into our workflow here. So this is a different kind of interface than we're used to seeing in Security Center, and in the middle here we have our flowchart. Of course, a flowchart has to have a start that's automatically created, and when you highlight over an activity, you can see that it's got these little tabs, which we can use to connect it to other activities. So it's very easy to add activities to the list. You basically just drag and drop them. So let's say we wanted to wait for an incident state. We just drag it onto our flowchart right here, let it go, and there's the activity right there. So if I want to actually modify it, I can just double click on it, and then I get the actual details. So this is a wait for incident state. There's not a lot we need to choose here, except what our actual state that we want it to be in is. I'm just going to choose in progress for this example, and then we can either apply it from here, or on the top you can see where we actually are. So we want to get back to our flowchart. We can just hit that here, and you can see that it updated our activity with the details. And of course I can still just drag that around if I need to. And if I wanted to connect that to something, so let's say I wanted to connect it to the start and I wanted to make that my first step, I can just drag the tab down from the start and connect it to the activity. And of course this can still be repositioned, and it's going to still keep that connection there. So if you do have things that are going all over the place and you do have a lot of rules in your workflow, you could actually have them connected through the sides and things like that too. So if you want to break a connection, you can just click on it, press the delete button on your keyboard, and then I could actually set it up to come from here. And that would of course still maintain my connections if I move it around. Deleting an incident is the same way. Just click on it, hit the delete button, and that gets rid of that activity. We can also copy and paste activities. So let's say in my example, I wanted to change the column color for my incident. So I'm going to double click on that. The color, I wanted to change it to yellow, and I want it to be on all columns, or I could pick a specific one if I wanted to. And then I can hit apply and it'll show up, or I could have just clicked on my flowchart there. And then let's say, okay, I know I want to change that right off the bat, and I also want to have it further down in my flowchart. So I can actually right click on here, and you can see we've got a bunch of options here. So I'm going to copy this particular activity, and I'll go down here, right click, and do paste. And then I've got a separate new activity, and in that one I want to change it to red. So you can see they are independent as well. And that way if I wanted this to be my starting one, I can link that. I could do something like a wait for incident in between and connect that here. And then later on I wanted to connect that like this. And of course we can move things around too if we want. So let's say I wanted to change it to red first. I can delete this link. I can drag this up here, delete this one. I can select these and move them farther down the list, and then I can connect my red color activity to the start node up top here. And then of course I could have other things happen, and then we want it to go to yellow and then wait for a state. Now let's say there's something that's very common that we want to do quite a bit. So let's say we constantly want to wait for an in progress state. Then we want to change the column colors to yellow. So if this is something that we're going to be doing for a lot of different ones, what we could actually do is make this as its own independent flowchart. So let's copy these, and then we're going to add a flowchart onto our existing flowchart, and we double click to open that up. So it looks the same, but you can see we are within a sub flowchart of our original one here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste these two steps that I wanted to recreate all the time, link them to the start, and I'm going to apply that change. Now I don't need these anymore because I do have my flowchart here, which basically does the same thing. So I can connect that here, and then I can actually copy and paste this and use it multiple times if I need to. And that way it's something where I don't have to keep recreating those steps over and over again. So you can see we can do quite complicated workflows from here, but there are tools that we can use to simplify the actual process and save time in the actual creation here too. Okay, so let's, I'm just going to erase this and let's take a look at a couple of examples. I'm going to set something up for my bomb threat, but before we do that, I want to point out that we do have a new state that I created. So if we go back to my incident manager and I go into my states, I did create one called all clear. So this is one that I want to use during my bomb threat, so I created that specifically for it. Going back to our incident configuration task, let's go back to our workflow for the bomb threat here. So the very first thing I want to do if a bomb threat incident happens is I want to change the column colors. So I want to make this incident very visible in my list. So let's make all the columns red. And let's link that to our start. The second thing I want to do is I want to send an email to all the administrators to let them know that something this important is happening. So I'm going to use a Security Center activity in this case, and I drag out my send an email activity. And I double click on that, we can see we've got other custom options here. I want to send it to all the administrators. It's giving me a warning that one of the administrators doesn't have an email set up, but that's okay. I'm going to put the subject, bomb threat, and please call the SOC. Apply, and that's here. I'm going to have that as my second step, so I'm going to connect these two together. Move that up a little bit. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to actually trigger an alarm for within Security Center as well. So I'm going to drag that over, double click on it, and I want the alarm to be the bomb threat alarm. As you can see, we could actually add other alarms here if we wanted to. So we can just pick anything from the list, and we can trigger multiple alarms at the same time. I'm going to connect that to our administrators so we can see our flow here. Now we're going to do another Security Center activity, and basically during our bomb threat we want everybody to get out, so we're going to unlock the doors explicitly. Drag that here, put that in the flow, double click on it, and we can actually pick the doors that we have set up here. So there we go, our doors are set up, apply that, and that's a good workflow so far. Now we'll have our procedures set up. The operators are going to be going through the procedures, whatever they need to do to advise the SWAT team and to get everybody out of the building. And the doors are unlocked. We've got those things handled by the workflow here. So the next thing we want to do is we want to actually wait for our new state, which is the all clear state, just to let us know that that the SWAT team has been on site. They've either defused the bomb or they've determined it's a hoax or whatever. But basically we want to know that everything's good to go. So at this point we're going to wait for an incident state. So this is going to pause our workflow until we get that that all clear incident state. Down a little bit, link that up. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so once things are all clear, we know we're all good to go. The last two steps I want to do is I want to send another email just to let the administrators know that the situation is under control. Again, we'll get our warning. And we'll just send them a message that the bomb threat is clear. Okay, we've got that linked up. Again, it's a sideways link, but that continues the flow. That's not a problem. And the last thing I want to do is I want to change the priority down to medium. So we're still maybe getting rid of the suspicious package, and there still might be some public flow issues that we may need to take care of. So we don't want to just close it, and we don't want to put it at low, but we can change it to medium. We don't need this to be critical at this point. So this is where we grab the change priority in the incident management activities. Put that down here, link it up, and we'll change the priority to medium. There we go. So that's our workflow. That's everything we want to happen while we're actually doing the bomb threat incident. So when that incident gets triggered, the first thing it does is it starts from the top of the workflow, and it'll change the column color, it'll send the email, it'll trigger our alarm, it'll unlock the doors that we have specified here, and then it's up to us to go through our procedure, and it's waiting for the incident state until we say that we change the state of the incident to all clear, and then it's got a few additional steps that it can do, such as notifying the administrators and changing the priority. So that's a good example there that does a lot of stuff. We've got a bunch of Security Center ones in there. We've got some incident management activities in there too. And of course, we need to apply that. Now let's take a look at something a little less scary. We're going to create an incident to let us know if a camera drops offline. Again, this is related to our facilities, so we're going to go over to our facilities category here. I'm going to create a new incident, and I'm going to call it camera offline. So in some organizations, if a camera goes offline, that could actually be a big deal, and it needs to be addressed right away. Depending on the location, certain casinos have a requirement for that, where the camera has to be on the table and has to be viewing everything at all times. I know there's certain shipping organizations that need to do that as well. So we've got our camera offline here. We're going to pick a custom icon for it, and of course I've got red in that icon, so this is really not a good color to use for the actual pin itself. So there we've got our little camera with the X over it, and I'm going to apply that. Now, depending on the severity of having that camera offline, we might want to change the priority. In my organization, it should be looked into right away, but it's not super critical, so we're just going to put it at medium and apply that. And I'm going to set up a trigger for this. But of course, first I'm going to deactivate my incident while I'm working on it. So let's add the event, and I want the event to be transmission lost. Any source, so any camera that we get this from, I want to see this incident pop up on it. And we don't really need any conditions for this. So a very simple trigger here, and apply that. And let's take a look what we want to do with the workflow. Now, part of what we might want to use this for is actually some kind of bookkeeping to see how long it took somebody to get out and repair it. We'll have our timestamps for that, and to know when it came back online too. So the first thing we're going to do in our workflow here is we're going to change the column color. So this is make it a very obvious that there is a problem with a camera on the system. And I'm going to change that to red. Again, we'll use all columns. Apply that. That's our first step in the workflow. And then what I want to do is I want to actually wait for that camera to come back online. So I'm going to use our wait for event incident activity. And this is where, remember when I was going over the different types of activities, we've got a lot of options in here. So event category, we want this to be a security center event. If there's a third-party system that's connected, we could do that as well. The event we want to wait for is a specific event And whoops, helps if I spell it right. And we want the transmission recovered event to come in. So I'm good with the transmission recovered and the rest of it's okay here. So I'm just going to apply it. Now we have our wait for event. And connecting that to the workflow. And now basically it's just going to pause the workflow until we do get that, transmission recovered event coming in. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to record that transmission recovered event within my incident event list. So I'm going to add the aggregate event here. Drop that down, connect it. So this is going to basically duplicate that event that came in and log it for administration purposes. Once again, remember we do have to put that right after the wait for event. So if we put that anywhere else, it really isn't going to do much for us. At this point, since the transmission has been recovered, we can change the column color back to the default, so we know that the operators don't have to send anybody out for that particular camera. And we have it set to default by default, and all columns here, so that's good to go. And we'll just, we have that linked. We do want to change the priority again, so since the camera's back online, let's change the priority to low. And apply that as well. And the last thing we can do, since we're really just doing this for bookkeeping at this point and the camera is back online, is we can go ahead and close the incident. So let's choose the close incident from here, drop that in, link it up. And there's where we can see the timing. So we can say that we want to close the incident with 0 delays, so immediately, or we can actually say, well, let's keep it open for 5 minutes, just so somebody can see that that camera did have a problem. And if this is something that keeps coming up and somebody can actually notice that this is an ongoing issue. Go back to our flowchart. We have that here. Apply it. And now we can see we have everything that we want to do during the incident when we get a transmission lost event coming in from a camera. Our last step, of course, is to set up the procedure. And then once again, we're going to activate the incident.